Hello chat, welcome to stream. Today we are looking at Assemble with Care. I saw someone playing this on YouTube earlier and I watched just like a little small chunk of it, like maybe 5 minutes, and was immediately like, I have to play this game. So here we are. This is even before we get into the game. It's having us put together her music player here. I figured we'd jump in here. And just let me know if it's too loud. Assemble with Care, new chapter added. Begin! I'm excited to see where the story goes.
I thought I'd get tired of traveling. The endless clatter of railways, highways, and everything in between. But as my train pulled into the station at Bellariva, I felt every bit as excited as the first day of my journey.
That's awesome.
A whole year. It felt like a lifetime. The places I'd seen, the people I'd met, of course, the forgotten treasures I'd given a new lease of life along the way. I'm a restorer by trade. Bringing our most beloved possessions back to life is what I love to do.
Well, that's super
I've
cool.
been traveling for months, working my way from one town to the next, fixing everything from family heirlooms to VCRs. Bellariva was my chance to take a break. Unfortunately, that would have to wait until after I'd unpacked.
Fair enough. Or do we actually get to unpack? Oh, we have tea. Oh, the tea's the pause. Okay, I mean, I like that. These are probably okay. I'm gonna turn the music down a little bit. Okay, that's a cute idea. Oh wait, I picked it up. And oh, there we go. I thought I was just aiming badly.
The tools of my trade. No hope of restoring things without these.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Need your trusty toolbox.
I picked up these sunglasses on my last stop. Hopefully I'm cool enough to pull them off.
Okay, but where was the stop? Alright, I'm posting here on Discord real quick because I forgot. Okay, there we go. These earrings?
I saw a
think?
guitarist wearing these at a show once. Rock and roll repair woman.
They're cute. Passport, I think.
My favorite overalls. These will never go out of style.
Nice. A picture of us? I think it is.
Looking forward to taking more close-ups of my fingers with this.
We all understand those days. I guess some of you might not. But I do.
I'll hand these out once I'm settled in.
Oh, they're like flyers we've made. I like that. They're cute. We did it.
Finally, I'd made it to Bellariva.
Bellariva is such a pretty name.
In a few days' time.
Ooh, and the food
TV
festival?
dinners and instant ramen for the last few months, I was craving a decent meal.
That sounds like so much fun.
Of course, I'd need to earn enough money to pay for it, so I figured I'd head out the next day and find some work. My parents never wanted me to go.
What was us?
They wanted me to stay in their shop and have a simple, stationary life. I knew there was a world out there, beyond the four walls of our antique store, that I had to be a part of.
Aw, totally get that. I would travel constantly if money wasn't an issue.
Constantly about the weird and wonderful places each of our
Excuse me, sorry
came
guys.
from. I loved figuring out their stories, revealing the memories hidden beneath the screws and wires. My story in Bellariva began with a little girl, and a voice she was longing to hear.
Aww. Welcome to Bellariva. Nice. Oh, cool. Chapter 2, Lullaby.
It was my first morning in Bellariva, and I couldn't wait to leave my hotel and explore. It was a quiet town, its streets and alleyways basking peacefully in the hot morning sun.
I prefer to chill at nights when we get to a new city, like when we visit Portland or Seattle and stuff. It's kind of nice to stay in. Unless we're going out to get sushi, because then that's fine.
In the main square, meanwhile, preparations were underway for the festival in a few days' time.
Ooh.
As I handed out my flyers,
I love
wondered
the
what
colors
people of
in all these
Bellariva paid me
pictures.
to fix. So far, everything here seemed perfect.
It always does.
I was starting to worry I'd made a mistake when I felt someone tapping me on the back.
Hi, I'm Izzy. Do you know how to fix things?
Hi, Izzy.
It was a little girl, maybe 7 years old, who must have gotten hold of one of my flyers. She rummaged around in her backpack until she hauled out a battered red cassette deck.
Ooh.
My tape is broken and I can't make it work anymore.
Oh no.
I tried to fix it myself, but there's this metal thing in the way. Can you try?
Of course. Okay, so first things first, can we... Yeah.
Why did you do that?
Wait, is it not gonna let me do it? Oh, I actually have to twist it. Wait, do I get my mouse this way? Oh,
How
okay,
did you
cool.
do that? I didn't see.
Magic. Okay, let's... Guess there's nothing in there. Oh. Oh, need to take out the screw. Oh, cool, puts it up there. That's neat.
Aha! Those batteries look like they need replacing. Luckily, I have some spares.
Lucky them. Let me put this back. Oh, no. Back, there we go. And then the screw. Oh my gosh, we have to use our mouse to screw it back in. That's so cute. Okay, now. Oh, hold on. Oh, there we go. Turn it. Can I straighten it back out a little? What if I put you back? Nope. Alright. Can we put this in here now? Nope. Oh, right. Oh my gosh, I forgot these had eject buttons. Oof. Oof. It's been a while. It works?
Will you dream a dream for me? If I sit by your side and hold you so tight, know that I will always love you, even though we both know that we must say goodnight.
Aww.
Good night, my darling.
That's
When
so
it finished,
sweet.
Izzy picked up the tape deck and tucked it carefully into her backpack.
That's really important.
Thanks, Maria. You're the best person at fixing things ever.
Oh.
No problem. Who was that singing? They're very good.
It's my mum. She's not here anymore.
Aww.
Izzy trailed off. It was the kind of silence a cassette tape would never be enough to fill.
Ouch.
When Izzy's friends called for her, she dug deep into her pockets, looking for something to pay me with. Eventually, she produced a grand total of a stick of gum, 3 mismatched buttons, and a yo-yo.
Ooh.
I usually preferred a check, but Izzy looked so serious, I wrote out a full receipt. She seemed like a happy kid, but beneath it all, part of her life had been shattered.
Aww.
Part
But we did it. Yay. Chapter 3, Shattered.
With the first repair complete, I spent the rest of the day doing small jobs in and around the square.
Nice.
I was
wearing our
exhausted
earrings.
when I got back to my hotel and found a message asking me to make one more visit. The address led me to a quaint little house, a stone's throw from the beach. Bathed in the evening light, it looked beautiful, in spite of its flaking paintwork and chipped tiles.
Nice.
The front door was opened by a harried-looking man, still dressed from a long day at the office.
Are you Maria? My name's Joseph. I'm Isabel's father. I'm so sorry she bothered you this morning. Please, come in.
Wasn't
I'd
a
like to settle
bother.
up properly.
On the mantelpiece, I saw the remains
That's
of
really
a broken
fine.
statue. Without thinking, I picked up a fragment.
Of course.
Ah, my father's statue. What's left of it, at least. Yet another way I'd have disappointed him.
Hmm.
It survived 100 years in this family. But 5 minutes with Isabel and... do you think you can salvage it?
Yeah. We got this.
Will you be able to see the glue afterwards? I don't want people seeing the cracks.
I think it'll be fine. Well, that's messy, to say the least. I think this will go there. Yeah. And let's see. Put glue here. Oh, won't let us put any there. Okay. I believe... Is it maybe this part here? No. Oh, there we go.
Sometimes I think
Now
my
maybe
daughter should
this
come
one.
with a warning label.
Maybe we need to add more glue. Ah! Yep. There we go. And maybe... that back. Is it this one? Yep. More glue.
Is this glue really strong enough to hold everything together?
Probably. It looks like it's super glue. I can't see why not. We did it! Statue complete. Still click on it. I love
Thank
it.
you, Maria.
You're
It
welcome.
looks as perfect as it ever did. My father wanted me to
I
make
feel like maybe he
something
could
of
have done that
myself.
too.
He didn't have time for anything less.
As Joseph put the
Oh,
statue
it's a
back
cute
on the shelf,
picture.
it nudged against the family portrait stood proudly next to it. So he was Bellariva's mayor. And that was Izzy's mom. They must both miss her so much.
Sorry. I'm a little tired. I've been working late getting things sorted for the festival.
That makes sense.
There's only a few days to go. Looks like I'll be working late. Again?
Oh, that's rough.
When I told my parents I wanted to leave, they always found an excuse to be busy, to avoid talking about it. I guess keeping themselves occupied was their way of pretending it wasn't happening.
It's unfortunate.
Joseph's work must have been taking up so much of his time. But maybe that was what he wanted. I just hoped he was finding enough time for Izzy, too.
I hope so too. He does seem very nice though. Like, he seems like a very pleasant person. Oh, a telephone. Chapter 4, disconnected.
My second day in Bellariva dawned bright and clear. Another beautiful sunny morning.
It does look very pretty.
Walking into town, I passed cafes overflowing with customers cradling their morning coffees. I stopped, breathing in the smell of roasted coffee beans and freshly baked pastries.
That sounds nice.
I was about to go inside when the owner of Carmen's, the cafe next door, stopped me.
Hello, Maria? Were you here yesterday handing out flyers? I have a job for you.
Her place was petite, tucked between its competitors as if hoping they wouldn't notice. Judging by the empty tables inside, though, her potential customers hadn't noticed it either.
Oh no.
It's a bit slow today, but we're just getting started. I'm sure it'll pick up soon.
Hopefully.
As Carmen chatted, she walked over to the counter and returned with an old rotary phone.
At least I've got plenty of time to practice my recipe for the festival. It's a new special I've been
Ooh,
working
I wonder what she's making.
I was hoping to call my sister for some seasoning tips, but it won't connect.
Why did she say that so suspiciously?
Can you see if you can figure out what's wrong?
Sure. Oh, that's so cool. Is that like a tester?
You can fix it, can't you? I can't afford to replace it.
Oh, take the screws out.
Obviously, we'd normally be much busier than this.
That makes sense. we can take that off. I mean, I don't know what we needed to take apart, but oh, it looks like it's fried. Wire and drag it to the toolbox to detach it. Oh, up there. I see. Yeah, it looks like it's missing a whole thing. Did it get dropped? Looks like it got dropped. Wait, I need to go to that one. I almost connected them incorrectly.
Looks like this new circuit board is all hooked up.
It's way better. Well, one of the bells is broken too. Let's put a new one on. There we go. That on. Oh wait. This first. Might need to actually have a way to dial everyone. Okay, and now let's put this on. Nope. Good thing that doesn't just fall off. I'll put all the screws back. One more.
There's still a part I need to attach. Where does it go?
Got the phone. Oh, oh, there we go. Who did it? Woo!
When
I didn't know that I've ever used a rotary phone.
She seemed almost reluctant to take it from me.
So it's all working now, is it? I don't have to leave it to dry or let it cool down?
Nope, it's
Nope.
ready to go. It'll be ringing off the hook in no time.
Seems upset.
That's if I can pay my phone bill anyway. And the rent and the suppliers. Anyway,
Aw.
take a seat and I'll be right with you. Your coffee's on the house.
Oh, that's sweet.
I sat at one of the empty tables, while at the counter, Carmen had started dialing the phone.
Hello! How's my favourite sister doing today?
As she talked, Carmen became more and more tense. This didn't seem like a call for some cooking advice.
Surprised she wanted us to stay.
I know I still owe you from last time, but I can't afford to take part in the festival if I don't pay.
I could almost feel the eye roll at the other end of the line.
You don't need to be here though. Can't you just put the check in the post?
When the call ended, Carmen brought me my coffee, her hands trembling.
Sorry about that. My sister's decided to fly in for a visit. Oh god, I have to get ready.
I would not enjoy that.
Actually, I might have another job for you. Can you come by tomorrow?
Sure, probably. I don't see why not. Where's that camera? It is. Chapter 5, in focus.
The next day, I'd promised Carmen I'd return to help her get the cafe ready for her sister's arrival.
Cool.
I was about to set out when I received an unexpected call from my hotel's reception desk. Apparently, another guest had asked for me by name.
Creepy.
Curious, I took the creaking elevator up to the top floor and made my way to the room number they'd given. I knocked.
Are you here about the camera? It's about time.
Where are you?
The woman in front of me was immaculate. Not a hair out of place or a crease to be seen.
My sister tells me you know how to fix things. I'd usually go to an expert, of course, but in this town...
Oh, this is probably her sister.
So this
Yeah.
was Carmen's sister? The two of them couldn't have been more different.
She seems kind of rude.
Inside her room, I saw a beautiful reflex camera. Any professional photographer's dream.
The viewfinder is completely dark. I can't see anything through it at all. I assume you can figure out what's wrong?
Yeah, probably. Lucky that I want to, though. He seems rude. There's another one.
I don't suppose you've fixed anything this valuable before.
Why are you so rude? It's so unnecessary. You broke the glass somehow.
Use the screwdriver. I could adjust the angle of the mirror.
Oh, that's so cool. There we go.
Now the viewfinder should be working.
Yay. Now we need to, oh, and it's showing us here. I didn't even see that at all. I don't remember what order we took this stuff off in. That looks okay. Let's put the screws in. Oh, I don't think I finished that other one. Well,
Looks like something is still missing.
yes. Oh, wait. Oh, do I have to put this on first? I see. And now if we flip this. Oh, no. Put this in there? Oh, on this side. Should be good. Nice.
I felt a pang of envy as I handed the camera to Helena. I put my disposable to shame.
I picked it up on my first trip to Paris. It's a 1958 limited edition, the first of its kind.
That's cool.
It cost me 3 months' salary, but it was worth it.
I had no idea what 3 months' salary meant to Helena, but I was pretty sure it was more than I could afford.
Oh, yeah.
It was strange, really, that we were even staying in the same hotel. I'd picked this place because it was cheap and cheerful, but surely she could afford somewhere better?
True.
She took some test shots, fiddling with the camera settings until she was absolutely satisfied.
This work is immaculate. At least there's one person in this town who knows what they're doing.
Rude.
Sending you to me might be the first thing Carmen's actually gotten right.
I wondered
Wow.
why Helena had
She
bothered
doesn't know
coming if
me.
she thought so little of her sister.
No joke.
I hear nothing from her for weeks, and then when she finally does call me, all she wants is money. If she thinks I'm lending her another penny, she'll have to convince me it's not a total waste of time.
That didn't sound good. If Hurricane Helena was about to hit, I hoped Carmen was ready.
I don't like her sister at all. Not one bit. Oh, her sign's broken. No wonder people haven't seen it.
The sun was setting over Bellariva by the time I reached Carmen's cafe.
It was all
On
day.
the outside, it looked as quiet as ever, but inside, I found Carmen cleaning like her life depended on it.
Maria! Oh, don't mind all of this. If Helena finds one speck of dust in here, I'll never hear the end of it.
Oh, jeez.
Carmen seemed pleased to see me, but I sensed the fidgeting tension beneath each sweep of her mop. Trying to live up to the standards of someone like Helena seemed like an impossible task.
I hope you didn't mind fixing the camera for her. She was furious when it broke. I really need this to go well. If she doesn't lend me the money, I don't know how long I can keep this place going.
Oh no.
Carmen led me to a back room, where she'd laid out the components of what looked like a neon sign.
I had this made when I first opened the cafe, but I'm hopeless with electronics.
So there was supposed to be a sign outside. This might explain the lack of customers.
What was it?
I'd like to put it up before Helena gets here. Can you give it a try?
I mean, of course. Who gives you a sign like this and is like assembly required and we have glue? Okay, let's see if we can do this first, maybe? Oh, I bet we have to unscrew these. There we go. Oh, no. Thought maybe that'd go there, but no. Oh, cool. That makes sense. Oh. Maybe we need to put glue down. Is that it? Probably not. Oh, yep. Probably not the, like, recommended method. To there, I think. Oh. Nice.
I don't know, it's a bit flat. Maybe if it flashes, it'll really catch people's eye.
That would be cool.
Great idea. I think I have a spare part that could do that.
She's very lucky that we exist. Glue. Let's do that, and then I bet maybe this goes like this. Like that, maybe. Yeah. I like that.
It still needs something
Yeah,
else.
yeah, there's supposed to be like an ice
Maybe
cream
we can
cone.
add one of these.
Ooh, which one do we do? Okay, first let's spin this. Put that on. Oh, that's not what I was trying to do at all. Thank you, game. Oh, which one do we do? I think I want to do the ice cream. I think that's cute. Yeah, I think that's what we're gonna do. So this needs to go to there, and then there to there, I think. Or, I wonder, are we able... do that and all of them flash? Yeah.
It works. I'll
I
screw
like
everything
that.
together again and you'll be set.
I wonder if she would have told me that she'd want them all flashing or not. If I hadn't. I think it's cute that way. Like, what's wrong? No! Stop trying to take that off. Game. There we go. You get it?
Shouty,
We did it!
Udabis.
Oh, thank you so much for the follow. Follows on this channel are anonymous, that way lurkers don't get called out if you don't want to be, but feel free to say hi. Thanks for the follow. Oh, it's such a cute sign. I'm so happy. It's cool, gives a choice
Sign
though.
fixed, we headed outside and mounted it carefully over the cafe door.
That looks cute. Way more noticeable.
Oh, that's perfect, Maria. It looks just how I imagined it. When I had this sign made, it all seemed so simple.
I get that.
I can't believe I might have to give it all up.
It's like
I hope
opening the
everyone
Etsy
knows.
store.
The smile froze on her face as she spotted something over my shoulder. I turned to see.
Probably her sister. Yep.
Of course, my sister owns the only cafe in this entire town that isn't actually open.
For better or worse, Helena had arrived. Carmen opened her mouth to explain, but Helena swept indifferently past her.
Oof.
Finally pausing in the doorway, she turned back towards Carmen.
The first thing we're doing is getting rid of that hideous sign.
No.
And with that, she disappeared inside. I hoped Carmen's chances of saving the cafe hadn't disappeared with her.
And her sister's so mean. Hi. How are you doing? Right, chapter 7, playing up. Oh, kind of looks like Game Boy Advance, but smaller.
It was the day before the festival, and the whole town was busy getting ready.
How's it going, Ash?
I had more work than I knew what to do with. When Joseph called with another job, I was craving the cool quiet of his and Izzy's seafront house.
Oh, right, that's the mayor.
I'd
Right.
barely reached their front door when I heard someone calling me. Psst.
Maria, I need your help. Quickly, it's top secret.
Top secret.
It was Izzy, peeking out from the side of the house. She beckoned for me to follow her.
Ooh, this should be good. Dude, I'm well, thanks. Yeah, this game is really adorable. I saw someone playing it on YouTube earlier today. I watched like the first 5 minutes and I was like, I have to play. So here we are. I'm doing good. It's been a nice day. I finished a crochet bag. It's very cute. It looks like a lemon. It's adorable. I'll post on Instagram later. And then I'm working on a giant pea pod stuffed animal crocheted that's like the peas can come out. But I got part of that done. So it's been a pretty good morning so far. Just going and going.
She led me through to a beautiful, unruly garden overflowing with flowers of every color.
That's so
Nestled among them
cute.
was a playhouse, its doorway almost completely obscured by a towering rose bush.
That's awesome.
You
Oh,
have to
thanks, Ash.
squeeze past it and breathe in real small, like this.
Izzy took in a big gulp of air and crawled through the gap and into the playhouse.
Oh gosh, I would get stuck in our playhouse for sure.
I hadn't planned on crawling in the dirt today, but the life of a repairwoman never did run smooth. On the table inside, there was an electronic toy. Not exactly the usual stock in my parents' antique shop.
I had an accident. I didn't do it on purpose or anything, but it won't turn on anymore.
Oh no.
Can you fix it for me?
Well, we've all dropped a handheld and then immediately very sad. Oh yeah, the screen and the button. Breaking the button is impressive. Go pop and play Forest Adventure. That looks like a cute, like honestly a rather cute thing. Okay, safety first. Oh, the whole back just comes off? Okay. Unplug these then. She fried the chip apparently. Alright, let's replace the button first. I don't remember. Oh, they were like this. Wait, oh, you know, I think. Oh. You come here. Do we have to take this off? Oh, there we go. Thought maybe there was a screw. We can put the new one on. Well, it matters which one. Do that. That looks right. Then we can put that back. Realizing I probably should have paid attention. I think they were like that. Okay, how do I get... Oh, there we go. Okay, so let's unplug these. Take that out. Not put the broken one back in. Oh. Game, hello? Oh no, I didn't pay attention to this either. I'll say those being red probably means they're in the wrong spot. Oh. Which I guess actually we can check these ones real quick. Oh, they didn't have any lights. Alright. Oh yeah, how do I... Oh, if we take... Oh, the glass is actually on this. Okay. I was very confused for a second. Can I not take the glass off? Oh, it's because we're replacing the whole board. Oh, okay. Hold on, guys. I'll figure this out eventually. Don't you worry. Okay, so now we need to put that back. And we'll put it over here. Aha. I see. Like that. So now that's all better.
Do grown-ups play games as
It
well?
worked. Grown-ups do play games as well. Heck yeah.
Can you show me how to
Oh,
play?
it's so cute. Wait,
I
a
tried
game in a
before, but
game?
It was so hard.
I love these. Okay, let's see. Oh my gosh, this is so cute. It's basically Pokemon, isn't it? Oh, we should just take their picture? We did it! Ooh, so it's like Pokemon Snap. Ooh. Oh, that's so cute. I love that. This is absolutely
Her
fantastic.
toy fixed, I watched Izzy retreat into its screen, taking refuge in a 3-inch world of her own.
I understand that.
Well, I'd better head inside. Your dad is waiting for me.
Please don't tell him about the game. He'll think I broke it on purpose.
Oh, that's sad.
Why would he think that?
Because, well, I kind of dropped it really hard at the wall.
Oh, she threw it.
Izzy looked down, scuffing
Aw.
her shoes on the worn floor
Sweet
of the
girl.
playhouse.
Need some therapy.
My dad said I have to go to this stupid festival tomorrow and put on a stupid dress, and I don't want to. All he cares about is working. He never wants to see me unless it's for his job. I'm not going. He can't make me.
Oh, this is heartbreaking.
With that, Izzy dove back through the rosebush and disappeared
Ugh.
into the wilds of the garden. She was so young. She couldn't be expected to see that her dad was struggling too.
Of course. And I get not wanting to put on a dress and like play perfect in front of the whole town.
It made me think. Had I really tried hard enough to understand my parents' point of view?
That's a fine line. I feel like usually these kind of conflicts come down to both people needing to see each other's point of view. Like,
I was so
actually
focused
talk
on the
to each other.
adventures ahead of me. Maybe I didn't care enough about leaving them behind.
There's very little right or wrong, there's just reasons. Chapter 8, Momentary. I get a second to read that, I don't know why.
Leaving Izzy hiding in the garden, I walked around to the front of the house and rang the doorbell.
I'm here.
It was only then I noticed my favorite overalls covered in grass stains. I scrubbed desperately, but it was too late.
Maria, what are you doing? What happened to your clothes?
I was, repairing a lawnmower.
How unusual. Well, do come in. The job I've got for you is a little more delicate.
Totally embarrassed, I walked into an orderly room filled with papers and ledgers. So this was his office.
It's a pretty office.
You must be so busy getting ready for the festival. Are you looking forward to it?
Of course. It's traditional for the mayor to judge food from every cafe and restaurant in town.
Oh, well, I mean, I'd be looking forward to it too if I got to eat all the food.
I'll be declaring the best chef in Bella Riva by this time tomorrow. Speaking of which,
That's
He
cool.
unclipped the watch from his wrist and very
And I want to go to a
carefully
food festival so bad.
I'll have a tight schedule to follow, but my watch stopped working a while ago. Could you see if you can make it tick again?
I can try, but there are people who specialize in watches. I'm sure in this game it'll be fine, but just for IRL purposes, I feel the need to mention that. Like, there's people who really know what they're doing. Oh, we can take it off the
Are you
band.
sure it will all fit back together?
We're gonna find out. Oh, love always. Oh, it must be from his wife. Okay, I would be exceedingly careful with this. Oh gosh, that is a lot of gears. I wish I could just pull the glass out from that way.
Ah, the main plate has completely cracked. I'll need to replace it.
Apparently. Why you gotta do me like that?
These look good though. If I'm careful, I can reuse those.
Oh no. Now it's just a puzzle. Unless it's giving me the answers. Wait, can I take these off? I see, I see. I just couldn't even see this. Can this go apart? Doesn't really look like it. Okay. Let's put these back on. Oh. I messed something up, didn't I? Did we need to maybe do this one first? I thought this went here. I'm just losing it. Just to check. And we'll only put this piece in first. What am I missing here? So this piece we took off of? Why am I like this, y'all? I really should have paid better attention. Oh, there we go. Now it'll let me. I didn't have them in the right spot before. Okay, we got this. We got this. Hey, they're working! Yay! Okay, now we need to look at this, though. Because we need to take the glass out. Oh, there's screws. I guess that makes sense. Now we can take the glass out. There we
I've
go.
not gone a day without this watch since my wife gave it to me.
Aww. That's so sweet. Okay, so we did that. Now this needs to go back in. This can go back in. That can go back on. Okay, George, I think we might have done it. I really love that we use our mouse to like do the screws. It's just so cute. Then I'll put that back. It looks good. We fixed his watch. Ooh.
As I handed the watch back to Joseph, my
You
fingers
are a great
traced
repair
over the
woman.
engraving on the back. I hoped fixing this was one small way I could help him move forward.
I love how it's drawn over here too.
I can't believe it's working, Maria. Thank you.
You're
My
welcome.
wife was a brilliant woman. Feeling this ticking on my wrist, it makes me feel like she's still here.
Oh, that's so sad.
Watches measure minutes and hours like they're infinite. I didn't know we had so little time. Even with Isabel, I barely see her. And when I do, she acts like she hates me.
Cause you barely see her.
Just then, the phone rang.
So tough.
Even when he was at home, his work was never done.
Sorry, Maria. I have to take this. I'll see you at the festival tomorrow.
Okay.
As I left, I turned and saw him pacing the floor of his office, his watch glinting in the afternoon sun. I hoped its quiet ticking would at least bring him some peace during the busy days to come.
I do not envy his position at all. Buddy, the bigger picture. Oh, is it like a projector?
When my last job of the day brought me to Carmen's apartment, the door was opened by someone I didn't expect to see, Helena.
Hello.
Sorry for inflicting this mess on you. Carmen's never seen a knickknack she doesn't want to buy, apparently.
Carmen's apartment was a little chaotic, but
Okay, fine.
totally charming. It was easy to imagine her living in a place like this.
Aw.
It definitely wasn't Helena's style. She seemed more upmarket than flea market. I wondered why she was even here.
I love flea markets.
We're having a clear out. Or at least I am. Carmen's not helping. As usual. There's a market at the festival tomorrow. I'm selling some of these things to make her some money.
Yeah, I don't like your sister at all.
She says she has nothing when there's all of this stuff right under her nose.
Helena stepped delicately past the items on the floor and reached down to pick up one from the pile.
Look at this slide projector. Our parents treasured it, but Carmen treats it like a piece of junk. Can you take a look?
I mean, sure. I guess I know nothing about this stuff. Unless we're talking like a viewfinder. Let's see. Warning, beware electricity.
That light bulb is completely smashed. Okay, I'll need to redirect the light to the lens at the top for the projector to work.
Oh. These? Maybe like that. And like that, I think. Looks like there's another thing there. I'm genuinely not sure. Oh no, it's not the side the light. Oh, wait, is it? Is it the side the light comes out of? No. So we need it to go that way? Like that, maybe. Think, possibly. Oh, the screw's on this side. There needs to be another one.
Oh, typical. Carmen's even managed to get a slide stuck in here.
No one asked you, Grumpy. Make her go away. Not sure how I would get it out. Use a screwdriver. No. Unsure. Wait, no, we go that way. Oh, I see. So then that other light needs to this way. There we go. Lots of
I'm
them.
so excited when I moved to the city. Carmen, she looks so sad.
She probably missed you.
Here's the clicker you'll need to attach. God knows how Carmen broke that as well.
Dude. Seriously though. See that? I think these can go in here, is how that works. I don't know if they need to be in a certain order or anything. And then
Looks like there's still a screw missing.
oh, I forgot to screw things back in. You know, that's a thing. I will say some of the times the game has been like helping me, it's actually just been like me having slight issues with the controls at times. I do appreciate that it's trying to help me. Oh. Don't drag that far. Oh, we can put it in here. I see. I was like, why won't it go that far? Oh, is that how these things work?
When we were younger,
Oh,
Carmen
I
was
didn't know that.
always following me around.
I know. Heard about you.
I suppose she looked up to me. A cool older sister.
Yeah, maybe.
She used to ask me when I was coming home.
Aw.
But I was always too busy.
Always too busy.
Helena was transfixed, staring at the two young sisters the projector had brought glaringly into focus.
Seems like a recurring theme in this game so far.
I never meant to let her down.
But you haven't, have you? You came all this way just to help with the cafe. Plus the money.
That's the problem. There is no money. I lost my job a few months ago. My savings are
Oh,
almost
no.
gone. I have nothing.
Why didn't she tell her sister?
Carmen thinks I'll throw my checkbook at her bad decisions and make them okay. But I can't. Not this time.
Or I guess a theme of people, you know,
The funny thing
actually
is,
talking to each other.
I came here wanting to tell her the truth. But she's so infuriating. How can I ask her for help when all she cares about is herself?
Helena fell silent, shrinking under the gaze of her younger self, projected onto the wall.
Also, it's amazing how much people will tell us.
It felt like the only thing keeping us together was my bank balance. I know I have
So
to tell her
sad.
the truth. It isn't fair. But I already lost everything else. What if I lose her too?
Carmen doesn't seem like the type. Honestly. What is that? Boiling point. Is that some sort of like special kettle?
The
I
day
don't
the
recognize
festival
it.
finally came, and after all my hard work, I was ready to put down my tools and pick up a fork. The smell as I entered the main square was incredible. Each stall was selling food even more delicious than the last.
Nice.
The competition would start any minute. Most stall holders were waiting anxiously for the mayor to pay them a visit. All of them, that was, except Carmen, who was still frantically chopping vegetables and stirring pots.
Maria! Thank God you're here. Can I ask you the world's biggest favour?
Probably.
Helena was supposed to help me run the stall today, but she never turned up. Probably too ashamed to show her face. I can't believe she lied to me.
Oh, she told her the truth, but
Carmen was stirring so furiously she was in danger of tipping the pot over altogether.
The mayor will be here any minute for the judging, but I'm almost out of my special.
She wasn't really going to ask me, was she? Not on my day off.
probably.
I have a stove
Yep.
ready to build and everything. Can you set it up and make me a spare batch?
Oh, jeez. Doesn't like zoom in or anything. Okay. Veggie soup recipe. 1 pint of stock. Should we use these two? No. Okay. We're just building the stove for now. Oh. See if we can figure this out. This piece looks like it goes up towards the top. That looks probable. Like that maybe. Looks like these three probably go on here.
It all fits. Now to light the gas.
Oh. Can't just take out one. Oh. Now we can take out one. How do I... Oh, we really do it like that. Oh gosh. We did it. That's dangerous. Okay. Hot goes on top. Do broth. Okay.
I think that pot is really boiling now.
Ooh, it's
Smells
all
great,
bubbly.
if I say so myself.
Ooh.
Here are the ingredients that Carmen's given me. What to add first?
Have a stick of half a carrot. Wait. Or a quarter stick of blank, half a carrot. Oh, a quarter stick of butter, maybe? Is that... I assume it's everything that was cut. Carrots? It's like mixing a potion in magic class. 2 broccoli florets. 2 whole florets.
That looks good. I'll scoop a spoonful when I'm ready to serve.
There. Okay, but that was only 1. 2. Handful of chopped tomatoes. Gross, but okay. Although these are not chopped. These are sliced. But sure. 3 wild mushrooms, it looks like. 3 whole mushrooms. And plenty of something. Oh, is there onions in it? I want to say that says plenty of love, though. Let's see if we can stir it. Oh, I thought maybe it'd let me stir it. That's fine. We did it! Woo! Okay. Okay.
My part done, Carmen took over and added the
Why'd she even
finishing
give us
touches.
onions then?
It was just in time, and a moment later, Joseph arrived with Izzy in tow.
None of that would have
anxiously
cooked that
handed them
fast.
both a serving.
That was so tasty. Can I have some more, please?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you've certainly earned yourself a loyal customer in my daughter. We have a few more meals to taste, but so far you are one of the best. Good luck.
Ew.
Joseph and Izzy looked so happy together. Maybe the festival was doing them some good after all.
I hope so.
Carmen, on the other hand, seemed annoyed. But why, when it had all gone so well?
I wish Helena was here to see this. She's so convinced I'll never succeed at anything.
She wants what's
Some
best
of these
for
voices
you.
sound
She's
really
just
familiar.
Not very tactful about it.
Yes, I know. Even when I was a kid, she pushed me when no one else did.
Not a kid's job.
I just wish she hadn't lied to me. But then, I've asked so much of her over the years. I never stopped to think how much she actually had to give.
Here's some tough relationships. Ooh, record player. What? Chapter 11, Harmony.
The festival finished. I only had 1 day left before I had to catch my train and leave Bellariva behind. I couldn't go without saying goodbye to Carmen, so that evening I made my way to the cafe. It was unrecognizable. She'd done it. Best food in Bellariva.
That's
Half
amazing.
the town was outside waiting to see what the fuss was about.
That's so good.
Maria! My favorite sous chef!
Are you
Come on
paying me
through.
now?
It was Carmen, acting every inch the successful cafe owner she deserved to be. Even Helena was there, serving the coffees. This was the last place I expected to see her after yesterday's drama. Carmen led me through to a balcony upstairs, where she brought out an old record player.
I found out where Helena was on the day of the festival. She was selling her camera to clear the cafe's debts.
Oh.
But then she didn't have much left for herself. So,
Aw.
I've asked her to come and stay with me for a while. We have a lot of catching up to do.
You sold the camera?
I wanted to give her this, to cheer her up. We listened to it all the time when we were kids. Do you think it has one last tune in it?
Probably. She sold it?
Okay, let's see what happens when we turn this on.
Oh, was I supposed to be like testing it first?
The speaker isn't connected properly. I should check the wiring. Here's the problem. This wiring isn't connected properly.
Oh, because this one's not right. Maybe. this come up? Oh, yep. I don't know if there's a reason for me to be taking any of that apart.
That's the speed dial connected. Now we should be able to change it.
Maybe. Or like that. No, that's blinking red. I think that means. Oh, I need to.
The speaker isn't connected properly. I should check the wiring. The speaker isn't connected properly.
It's funny little details that were coming out there. Okay, so. Ah. Then that's red. Is that also not right? You say they're right though. Yeah. There's somewhere else this can go. I don't see anything else.
The speaker isn't connected properly. I should check the wiring.
Yeah, I got that game. What? They said that wasn't right either. They need to be hooked up differently. Well, this is arguably the same difference, right? Where does it need to go? Can't reach that far. Can't reach to this one. Oh, a light. The light does not work. It seems to say all those are right. And what is wrong here?
The speaker isn't connected properly. I should check the wiring.
Cat, I'm so confused. I'm probably missing something super obvious. Let's see. Oh, like that.
That should do it. This record should play beautifully.
Okay, weird. Alright, let's test it.
It's spinning the wrong way. How can I get it to bend?
Oh my god.
Let's see if one of these spares can.
No, turn it off. It's like, no, turn it off. Okay, so... Oh. It's...
If I turn the volume up, I should be able to hear it now.
maybe this one? I don't know, I'm kind of just guessing, but... let's find out.
Looks like something is still missing.
Oh, I forgot to... Silly me. Forgot to put this back in.
Well, it's playing in the right direction. I should check it's turning at the correct speed.
This sounds right. Oh wait, was that not right?
What will remain of these days?
It seems right.
Sweetest words I've ever heard.
It's such a pretty song.
What will
I wonder if it's a real song.
the smiles, the ones that stole my heart that day.
I really do like it. Okay.
Surely want to know.
It's such a pretty song.
The record player's crackling tune must have caught Helena's ear, as she appeared a few moments later.
Is that my old record player? I can't believe you've kept it all these years, Carmen.
Leaning over the music, they looked just like the young sisters the slide projector had preserved all these years, inseparable once again.
Aww.
Carmen told me about your camera. That was a really generous thing to do.
I loved that camera, but I love my sister more. Now it's her time to be the person she wants to be.
Aww.
I'm going to stay here with her for a while. Make up for lost time.
It's sweet.
Carmen and Helena's relationship wasn't suddenly going to be perfect, but they were both prepared to try.
The important
And to
part.
think, it had all started because of a call Carmen made about some seasoning tips.
Mm-hmm.
I guess in the end, maybe it wasn't so hard to just pick up the phone and dial. I hadn't spoken to my own parents in a year. I wanted to hear their voices more than anything.
Why not call?
But the silence between us was so cavernous. I didn't know how I'd ever find the words to bridge it.
Fair. That is tough. Ooh. A father's reprise, I think? Is that like a jewelry box?
My final morning in Bella Riva,
We're not
I
staying
received
longer.
one last call out to Joseph and Izzy's house. I knew I had to pack, but I figured I could squeeze in one final job before I had to leave. When I arrived, I found Joseph tidying up his wilderness of a garden. The playhouse was already cleared. Inside, I could see Izzy happily testing out her screw-driving skills on the back of her cassette deck.
Aww.
You've made quite the impression. Izzy, tells me she's going to be a repairwoman like Maria.
Aww.
I'm sure she could be anything she wanted if she put her mind to it.
She could. She's a brilliant child. Spending the day with her at the festival, I haven't had so much fun in ages. I wanted to give her something before she starts to forget.
Aww.
Inside, the house was transformed, flooded with light and the sounds of the garden. It felt alive again.
That's awesome.
This would be my last repair in Bella Riva, but it felt like it was the house that had really been restored.
It's a music box.
Oh.
It used to play beautifully, but
That
now
makes
when
sense.
I wind it up, nothing happens. I'd love
Oh,
for
no.
Izzy to hear it sing again.
Sure, let's take a look. Oh, we're also gonna change out the picture.
Maria, could you add this family picture of us?
Oh, of course. Oop. Oh, maybe? Apparently I have to wait. Are there screws in here? Oh, what is that? Oh, they're underneath. Why does it turn it like that? To leave it up, like, going the one direction. Oh, no, not what I was trying to do.
This mechanism is completely broken. I'll need to take it all apart before I can fix it.
Uh-oh. It ended very badly. How the heck did they manage to break that, though? Maybe? Yeah. Wait for me to test it. I don't know. Oh, here we go. Those two aren't spinning. Is that a problem? Not gonna do it either. Oh, that doesn't either. I'm unsure. Let's see if it lets this fly. Or if I have messed it up. That part that needed to go in there. Okay, can we take these out? Curious what it is. Is it like a little bird that pops up? Not go in there? It looks right. Oh, can I still not put that in there? Like this? Wonder if it'd stop me if I was like really screwing this up. Oh, there's glue. We need to glue the picture. I just didn't even realize there was glue up there. Derp. Silly me. Missing the obvious, as always. This would be entirely too much glue, because I do. But we're gonna do it anyway. Entirely too much glue. When I do those mini builds. So I'm hoping to do more TikToks making miniatures soon. I've got a build kit that I want to work through, and I think it'll be fun. I also think it'll be fun to build it like you normally do, and then, you know, add my own little touches. Oh, this goes down here. I think that should work. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh no. Alright, well, I apparently messed something up, so...
There's still a part I need to attach. Where does it go?
Oh no, I don't know what I forgot. Unless, was I just supposed to shut it? Did I make sure? Let's check that first before I take everything back apart. I don't think I'm supposed to shut it, but... better to check the easier thing to double check before. Oh, that's already in there, okay. Oh, no, okay. I think I might have messed this up. Nope, nope. Oh, we're going. So I think it's something with these. Let's try that. There we go. Now they're all spinning.
Perfect. The mechanism is good as new.
There we go. Okay, and now put this back. We've just gotten a little ahead of ourselves. That's fine.
There's still a part I need to attach.
This is a really, really pretty... I know I haven't put the drawer back game. Thank you. It's a very, very pretty music box, too.
I think that's everything back together again.
Let's see.
My
Oh,
wife
it's a
says
bird and a
some
baby
days I wish they
bird.
were bed, but I always work too late to join them.
That's so cute. Oh, it's the song from her tape. Oh.
I've missed so much already. I want to be the father my wife wanted me to be. I've ended up so much like my own father, working all the time. Izzy needs me more than that, especially now it's just the two of us.
True.
My daughter comes first. Well, until she gets bored of her stuffy old dad anyway.
Oh.
I'll never ever get bored of you, Dad.
Izzy came running into the room where Joseph scooped her up and onto his shoulders.
Oh.
She
That's
gazed
sweet.
at the music box, her eyes shining. I'd never seen her look so happy.
Thank you, Maria, for everything. The
You're
things you
welcome.
fixed for me. I'm so glad to have them back.
Joseph was a good father, and I could tell he was determined to be an even better one. When it came down to it, that was all any of us wanted. A second chance to make something right. My time
That's
in
fair.
Bellariva was almost over, but before I left, I knew there was something of my own I needed to fix.
Oh. Chapter 13. Departure. I don't want to leave.
My time in Bellariva was almost at an end. Another chapter finished in a story whose ending I hadn't felt ready to write. The people I'd met, the items I'd restored, they'd taught me so much about what was really important. Pulling out my suitcase from beneath the bed, I remembered the day I stole it from my parents' shop, the day I left. Afterwards, I was too ashamed to call them, to apologize. It was a guilt I'd been carrying around every day since. As I packed,
Sure, they know.
I knew that it was up to me to find a way to lighten the load.
Oh, now I have to pack. Clothes.
Helena gave me these designer
Passport.
shirts. Not sure I'll pull them off as well as she does.
Probably not. Oh, little dinosaur.
My train ticket.
What was that
Can't
one?
believe it's time to leave Bellariva behind.
Ooh, her
Izzy
soup
gave me
recipe.
this in
That's
exchange for my
awesome.
repair manual. She'll be a pro in no time.
The dinosaur, that makes sense.
The recipe for Carmen's special. I'm under strict instructions to guard it with my life. My
Well,
suitcase
we've
was
told
full,
the world,
but it
so.
was my heart that felt heavy as I made my way to the station. I was sorry to be leaving Bellariva behind, but I hoped that in my own small way I'd made a difference. Helena and Carmen's reunion was possible because they'd learned to overcome their differences. Joseph had realized he shouldn't let his grief or his work get in the way of his relationship with Izzy. They'd each learned to see things from someone else's perspective. Maybe it was time I saw things through my parents' eyes.
Maybe.
I knew it would be easier to jump on the next train, put even more distance between us, but I finally felt ready to talk to them. I just didn't know if they would feel the same. Did I even remember their number? I wasn't sure until I reached for the phone and it all came flooding back.
Dial.
Mom? Dad?
Maria? Is that you?
Aww. What a sweet ending to the story. Oh, there's the voice performers. I might have to look them up later. They sound super familiar. It did look like there was a star. Yeah, I want to see what that was. The epilogue. Okay. Carmen's letter. Ooh. Dear Maria, Carmen here. Sorry I haven't written.
Dear Maria.
Oh, she's gonna
Carmen
read it.
here.
Oops.
Sorry I haven't written. The
Just
cafe's
kidding.
been absolutely manic since you left. Luckily, I have Helena here to help. You wouldn't recognize her. She's like a new woman.
Ooh.
She's always running around, taking orders and making drinks. I even heard her compliment a customer on their outfit.
Aww.
Personally, I draw the line at fluorescent green bowling shirts, but each to their own. It certainly made the customer smile. She misses the city, though. Bellariva's many things, but it's definitely not as chic as she'd like. She said there was a coffee shop near her old apartment where they made coffee with a shape drawn on top.
Ooh, yep. Not easy.
It got me thinking, I'm an award-winning chef. I can figure out how to put a leaf on a cappuccino. A bit of cosmopolitan coffee might be just what Helena needs. Of course, ordering a new coffee machine was the easy part. I wish you could have seen the mess I got into trying to put the thing together.
I bet. Oh, we get to do it? Oh gosh. Oh, there.
I saw Maria use her screwdriver a million times. Taking this apart will be easy.
Oh, we are Carmen. Okay.
These pipes look pretty simple. I should start with them.
Ah. See, maybe like that.
Oh, I wish Maria was here. She'd know how to put these pipes together.
Maybe. I feel like that's facing the wrong way. Maybe like that. They come with a booklet at all?
That steam doesn't look good. There must be something wrong with the pipes.
Yeah. I does show it as red. None of them can face the other way. That's what we had before, I think. Hasn't yelled at me yet. Oh, this one has a blue end. Does any of that have a blue end? Not that I see. I call it good for a second. Like, where's my screwdriver? Oh gosh, there's so many things to hook up. Who thought this was a good idea? I think this is a terrible idea.
Maybe I should focus on the pipes first.
Oh.
They look easy.
Just it telling me I'm wrong about the pipes. Ah! Also terrible at rotating this. The yellows all make sense though. Did these make any sort of noise when I put them on? None of the yellow ones really matter. Oh yeah, the directions are wrong then.
I'll need to connect all the pipes correctly to stop the steam pouring out.
Oh, we want the steam to stop pouring out. That makes sense. Do it. No.
How can there be so much steam? Ugh, I'm getting soaked.
Man, I'm not entirely sure how it's on. To be fair. There's still steam coming out. Ah. It was leaving out some details. It was definitely leaving out some details there. Okay, anyway. Oh, we can see which one. That one, I believe. Yep. There we go. So those. Oh, no. Go back. Those are correct. And for here. Not those. No. Thank you. Maybe these. Oh, these need to be hooked up first. Duh. Okay, so coffee cup is 3. Okay. There's 2. And power is 1. Okay. Let's put this back on. I hope she only paid like $10 for this though, considering she's having to do literally all of the work for it. Wait. I need to go down first. Yep, sure does. I could not remember. Are they? They're there. We did
I
it!
think that's everything. Better test the buttons, just to make sure.
Coffee. Steam. Nice.
All done. Piece of cake. Time to make my first coffee, I think.
Ooh. Oh, we're actually gonna make it? Okay, so this goes up there. This goes under here. This would technically almost always pull to lock to the side. Just in case anyone's wondering. There you go.
Smells
Oh, I
delicious.
did not mean to turn the whole thing
Now to
again.
make it look magical.
Now to make it look magical. How are we gonna do that? I was like, we need the steam milk to do that. Okay, it is gonna. Oh, it has steamed the milk for us. Oh gosh. There we go.
A perfect coffee. All it needs is a
Perfect.
saucer and a couple of Helena's favourite biscuits.
It's so bad. I made a sword. I was never very good at latte art when I worked at a coffee shop either. But it has to do with depth as well. So just like doing it on top does not work.
I was feeling more has-been than coffee queen by the time I'd made a drink fit for human consumption. It looked a bit, postmodern, but knowing Helena's refined tastes, I hoped she'd think it was intentional.
Well, she might.
Always the connoisseur. She didn't even bother to look at it at first. She was so busy wafting it under her nose. Steamed up her glasses, of course. How was she going to see my work of art through an eye full of fog?
Might be better.
When she finally spotted it, though, she was totally impressed. I'll admit, she spent several minutes trying to figure out exactly what it was I'd drawn. She decided it was probably a horse. Well, what she doesn't know won't hurt her. She was impressed enough to ask for another one.
Oh yay.
Guess I'll need to get some practice in. The whole thing was such hard work, Maria.
It does take a lot of
I never realised
practice.
how difficult it was, all that mechanical stuff.
But
It
yeah.
made me realise how much I have to thank you for, so I wanted to say that now. Better latte than never. Hoping you're well. Your friend, Carmen.
Aww. It's so sweet. What a sweet update. That's adorable. Well, that is the game. That is Assemble with Care. This is such a sweet game. I'm definitely gonna look and see what else these devs have put out. If they've made other games, because this was a lot of fun. I really, really enjoyed it. I think I want to going forward kind of focus on more of these types of games that have like definitive endings. I know I really love roguelikes and games that can just go on and on and on and on. But this was so enjoyable. So I think that's what we'll do for a while now. Other than tomorrow, we will be playing Palia because an event starts tomorrow. That's super exciting. It's kind of like the summer festival in WoW, if you're familiar. And so it'll be like carnival games and like a market. I think it'll be fun. So I will see y'all tomorrow for that. This is going to be me for today, and I'll be sure to throw this video up on YouTube as well. And thank you for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Have a great day, y'all. Bye.